Hello, you all. Welcome back to the channel if you've been here before, and welcome to the channel if you've never been here. Today, I'm going to talk about my pulmonology report that we have been waiting on. I've been waiting on it for 6 months to get to see this guy, and I'd seen a pulmonologist before in 2023, and he said the things that we had seen were not important, and he blew me off. So I made a report against him. And took a break for a whole year because I just couldn't handle it. Seeing doctors, I've seen so many doctors trying to figure out what was wrong with me for 2 years, and I just had enough. I just had enough fighting, and I knew I just didn't have enough drive in me to do it the right way after that, especially with what we had seen on the MRI. What we had seen on the MRI was lung scarring, and I knew for a fact that it was most likely from the I knew that it was most likely from the radiation that I had to my right breast when I had breast cancer treatments, and I had atelectasis, and that is lung collapse. And he said it wasn't anything, so I made the report. So I was nervous about seeing this doctor, and I walked in, and I didn't have anything to be nervous about. He was very warm. And I told him about my situation, and he told me, you all, he was glad that I had reported this doctor, because he said this doctor has been known to do that, and so and those things are serious. And if you catch them early enough, then they don't get worse. So and then we talked about my history, and I told him about all the symptoms of just to recap real quick, how all my life I never felt good. I have dealt with a lot of other things that I'll go into later, but specifically the thing that stood out the most was the fact that when I would work out, and I love doing sports, but I would get really tired. I would, after like running or whatever, I would almost feel like I had to pass out. I would be dizzy. And I grew up dizzy and nauseated, and if I pushed too hard, feeling like I had to faint. That's the way I grew up all my life. And, they never really checked my heart. We never really had that. I mean, they would do vitals, but that's not enough to find the congenital heart defect that we found. And but he listened to my entire story about the breast cancer and all of that, and he looked at me and he said, "Has anyone ever diagnosed with you with asthma?" And I went, he said, He said, "And do you have a rescue inhaler?" I said, he said, well, he didn't understand why none of my other doctors had prescribed a rescue inhaler. Because I have not been able to breathe. I have trouble having trouble breathing, have had it all my life. And it really escalated after my third child when I was 27, 28. That's when the heart situation really showed up, and they still didn't find it. And so, but they weren't looking for a defect. They were just checking the function of the heart and not looking for that, because they found this upper left lobe partial anomalous pulmonary venous return, which is very rare. I mean, one part of it is rare, but the kind I have is even rarer than the other rare part. And they found it just looking at CT scans at my lungs and other things, and now they cannot see it. I mean, it's just obvious now. But that had a lot to do with my symptoms too. So he looked at me, he said, "I think you have asthma." And he said, "I'm going to give you a rescue inhaler," which I have right here. And I've awakened many times, not being able to breathe. I told him about how I can't sit in crowds like at church. I can't sit among the people because the scents and stuff make me cough. He said he thinks it's just over time gotten worse as an adult, and this time in my life. And he said, "Yeah, that sounds like asthma. So we're going to try this rescue inhaler." And guys, I already feel a difference. Using this inhaler. But we don't know if that's all that's wrong. So we talked about that, but that's going to at least help me to breathe better until we figure it all out. So then he looked at my past MRI thing, and obviously the atelectasis, I don't even know how to pronounce it. They just say it so fast. I just love that, how they can just pronounce these things. But he said, that's the lung collapse. And it's, from what I'm looking at my records of what he said, it's still there. So I still have this lung collapse. And we looked at the CT imaging, and it looks like the scarring that I had in 2023, they said minimal. He showed me on the CT scan, he showed me how to read it. He said that, yes, he said it looks like it's a little worse. The bronchiectasis, which is where the damage that I have to the bronchial tubes that just showed up. It wasn't there in the MRI, or they didn't see it or didn't mention it in 2023, but it was there in the CT imaging. And that's where your bronchial tubes are widened because of damage, and radiation can definitely do it. Acid reflux can definitely do it. There's a lot of things that can definitely do it that I I have experienced. And that's why I wheeze. It has a lot to do with why I'm wheezing. Like when I go up and downstairs, I mean, you have if I definitely had asthma, you have the heart defect, and now you have this widening. And he showed me it's just not one side of the lung, it's both sides of the lung. And he also said there are some other nodules in the lungs, but they're small. So we're just going to watch those because, like I said, I had two just disappear on their own, just about. But he said there were some, and that's why I like going to specialists, because they see things and take things seriously that other people just might blow off. That's why I couldn't understand why this other lung specialist did that. I forgive him, and we just decided that we were just going to say he's a little different. But I did report him, and after knowing what I know now, I'm going to go back and revisit that report with his higher-ups. That's just not right. So then, because this is my life, these things, if you catch them early, they're good. And it looks like that scarring may have gotten worse since then, just looking at it, and that's not good, because it's a whole part of my lung that, unless you get a miracle, it does not heal. And so, we talked about that, and we have a plan. And the plan is we're going to do an extensive breathing test. It takes about an hour and a half. And we are also he's also going to do a scope. And I don't know what it's called, but we're checking for pulmonary hypertension, because I have all the signs of that too. And the pulmonary hypertension could definitely be from the right side of the heart being not pumping enough. No, we talked about that too. Now, with the condition I have, the heart defect, I saw a cardiologist. He told me that we found it just by accident. I shouldn't have any problems. He said there was damage to the right side of the heart, but it was small. You all, this is just unacceptable in my mind, knowing what I know now. The left side of the heart, your blood comes through after it's been cleansed by the lung, goes through the left ventricle, goes down to your body, comes back up through the right side. There's 4 vessels that go down and come back up. 2 of mine that come from this way don't go to the body, they go straight to the right side of the heart. I've been feeling pain right there. I feel it right now. I've been feeling pain right there for years. I talked to the lung specialist, said that the reason that you can't ignore that is because the right side of the heart, the right ventricle, is wimpy. It's not much. It's not as strong as the left side, because it doesn't have to be. All it's doing is bringing blood up from the body into, to be cleansed again. So by him saying that, and it's right ventricle dilation. Guys, that is not something you push off. That can cause the right side of your heart, because it's already showing damage. So without being treated, it can make your heart fail. It can cause a lot of issues, some of that I'm having. That was the cardiologist. So we're not going to work with the cardiologist I went to before that said, whatever. And then they wanted me to see the lung specialist. Not the lung specialist, but the heart specialist that deals with this at UT Southwestern in Dallas. But the problem is my insurance won't cover it. But God is good. I have a relative who is a doctor who is in that area, and she knows him. So I don't know what that's going to do, if we can get, anything with him to be seen. I am hoping that is the case. I'm hoping that's a God thing to open that door. So anyway, we talked about the heart. So we're checking for pulmonary hypertension. And if you look up these terms, these are very serious terms. Now that I know how serious my situation is, because I looked up all of this, I am relieved that we know, and we can now, I have someone who has a plan to treat it. Oh, we're going to do a scope. I forgot to say this. We're going to do a scope, and I forgot the name of the scope, where they go in and he's going to check the lungs and check the heart. And they're going to be looking for that, but they're also going to be looking for other things. And it'll be in the hospital, and it can be a little dangerous, but it'll be with a cardiologist, that's someone he knows. And if something happens, that cardiologist will be there, he will be there, and they can do whatever they need to do to fix it if it becomes emergent while we're checking the scope. Now, I would be nervous, except looking at all of this stuff, I'm nervous if we don't do anything. I'm at a situation to where all this time, these doctors who just blew me off, they didn't do anything. But now we're going to do something about it. But if I find out that some of these doctors, I went to go see a vascular surgeon when they found partial, they didn't see the whole heart defect, but they knew something was wrong. He kind of laughed it off. He said, "Oh, well, look, there's nothing wrong with this. I mean," he said, "it just means that you're like a fine wine," and was laughing, kind of, making light of it. Guys, there's nothing light about heart defects and what they can cause. There's nothing light about damage to whimsy parts of the body. There's nothing funny about lung collapse. There is nothing funny about someone who can't breathe. There is nothing funny about scarring, damage to the lungs. There's nothing funny about there's nothing light about 6 growths in my liver that they don't think it's that big of a deal, and think that I'm kind of overreacting on certain things, especially when one of the growths is leaning against a very vital organ. There's nothing light about that. So I am relieved we know, but I am saddened on what we know, because now I know I have to be even more careful, and that these feelings that I've been feeling are not just strain in my chest. I've been told all kinds of stuff. I can't breathe. I've not been able to breathe. I have been struggling. My right side of the heart, where I've been hurting, that is a sign that it was struggling, and it is struggling. So I praise God for that. That is my doctor pulmonary visit report. I'm grateful for a doctor who cares and is actually doing something. We have a plan, and I will keep you posted. And so I just encourage you all, do not stop. If someone doesn't listen to you, I've said this many times, find somebody who will. Do the search. Like right now, I've switched my neurologist because of something that the old neurologist, I even asked her about it, the left side of my body being weaker than the right. She said it wasn't no big deal. I'm finding out it was a huge deal. And that was over 2 years ago. We found 3 years ago that we did the testing, and she didn't think anything of it. So I'm going to see what another neurologist says, and if she can actually help me with the other stuff. So don't give up, you all. Keep fighting for yourself. Keep advocating, because it's your life. It is. I am living proof. If you listen to my story and you follow me, it's your life. So I just encourage you. I'm going to end this video. I just want you to remember to have courage in the adversity you're going through. Have courage in pain. Everything we do to move forward is not done in vain. Until the next video.